got you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so wanted to everybody that we talked to in our breakout was pretty much mirrored what we found in our occupancy survey. Nelda is managing a facility down in the Rio Grande Valley that was a value add property that's getting repositioned. So the occupancy there really didn't apply to the rest of the conversation. You know, I think everybody, because of the demand in RVs right now, is seeing a demand for boat and RV parking, and those sectors on the respective properties that were in our group are performing quite well. Almost everyone is being very conservative with their rental rates on existing tenants. However, I would say probably 50 to 75% of our group is either already applying revenue management to increase their street rates in order to stay ahead of the market, or they will be potentially considering some additional street rate rental increases by the end of the year if their occupancy continues to hold up. One of the things I wanted to get their feedback on was if anyone was experiencing any concessions, either that they feel that they're having to institute themselves, or maybe that their competitors are implementing right now that they feel may be damaging their revenue or damaging the value of the services that they offer. And most of the property owners who were in our group, property owners and managers, had facilities that were definitely suburban or rural in nature, and not many had, I believe only one had direct competition from a REIT. And so they're not really experiencing any of those type of, move in, give 1 month free type discounts that we're seeing a lot of the larger operators institute. So that was some of the feedback that we had from our breakout.
Great, thank you. Okay, before we go on to feedback from group 2, I'm going to take a picture of my screen real quick, and I want to give y'all a warning, because if I don't tell people before I do this, they're making all kinds of weird faces and doing God knows what. So I'm going to snap a picture of y'all. Linda, you're kind of falling out of your picture again. If you can, there you go, perfect. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Let's try that one more time. Let's smile this time. Or wave, or whatever you want to do. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. All right, Joe, I think we are group 2, and you were our note taker. Unless you want me to present it, you go right ahead.
Well, let me see. Okay, I'm muted. Monty and Wayne did most of the talking. They had the most experience. The first question was as far as how your facilities are doing. Monty said that the 4 stores in Killeen are doing great. 3 stores in Austin, not as great. May was the only month that was down 10 rentals, and that was over 16 stores. So it was less than one property, 1 rental down per property. Wayne said he's about 80%. Currently, it was slow during April and March and April, but it's picked up. On the specials, Monty says that they're not giving any specials on existing stabilized properties. They are doing it on his Tomball property, which is new, or actually expanded, and Conroe, which is new, but no specials on stabilized markets. Wayne said he had low rates, hasn't been doing any specials, and hasn't been raising rates. Some of the special, like Monty was doing, first month free or 3 months at half price. There was also a $20.20 special. I wasn't exactly sure how that worked, but maybe Monty wants to come back on and explain that. As far as move outs, Wayne said that not a lot of move outs, pretty steady. It's been pretty steady the whole time. Monty said that during March and April had no move outs. People just weren't moving around. May, June, and July have been great. It's been a great summer. So the pandemic hasn't affected his self-storage business at all. Bill Bellamy brought up the fact that some of the property owners who have switched to the REIT for management were complaining that their expenses are really high payroll and everything, and were kind of regretting that they had moved with the REITs for management. Monty says that he doesn't require anybody who allows him to manage to rebrand, and that saves like $50,000, which is great. So that's all I can remember, all I took notes on. If anybody else wants to chime in, anything I forgot?
I think you pretty much got it all. One of our newer people asked Monty, you're a great note taker, by the way, Joe, you're hired for the future. Great note taker. One of our newer people asked Monty what specifically the specials were, and he mentioned that on the lease up or some of the more aggressive properties, they were doing 1 month free or 3 months at half price, but he's very judicious in applying those concessions. He's been around long enough. My favorite quote from the day from our small group is Monty was a regional or district or mid-level manager for Uncle Bob's in the past before they became Life Storage. And he said, I worked for the REITs for a long time. I know how to manage the REITs. I was like, ooh, you go, Monty. You know what you're doing. So he's in those markets where he's having to deal with that. Okay, who is Group 3's leader or note taker?
I guess that would be me. I'm Steve Rogers with Alamo Mini Storage. We have 4 locations in San Antonio, 2 in Victoria. The only one we have in the Austin area is up in Hutto, Texas. Talking about boat and RV, this is probably our smallest property. We have quite a number of parking spaces that were never intended to be long-term. It was just sort of to hold the land until we could expand. And as a result, they're just parking spaces. We don't have services. They're not, no dump stations. They're not covered. Last fall, we kind of kicked out all the junky vehicles that had creeped in over the years, and with it intending to start moving toward construction, and have had some difficulty replacing those because there are other facilities in the area that do have those services that we don't offer. Other than that, the storage itself seems to be kind of holding its own. Some of our San Antonio properties in Victoria, we did have a number of move outs, I assume COVID related, cutting hours, cutting jobs, that sort of thing, and have had some difficulty replacing those. We do offer some discounts, free month, and that sort of thing, but we did that before, but on selected sizes. That's not across the board. So, so we have done that. Our group was about half vendors and half either vendors or new people that haven't actually finished construction yet, and then a few operators. One of the ladies mentioned that she had an arson related fire, which would just give me nightmares. I just can't imagine that. Fortunately, it was limited to 12 units, but that's still way too many. That's just terrible.
Yes.
Another lady.
Hey, Steve, who was that?
That was me.
Amy.
Okay, Amy, I'm gonna follow up with you later. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Amy. I didn't mean to rat you out. I apologize. Linda down in Pleasanton is a fairly new manager. She said they got hit pretty hard earlier this year, non-COVID related, due to a slump in oil prices, and have had some difficulty recovering from that. Formerly in the 80 to 90% occupancy, now they're in the 70s, and they are talking about maybe offering a discount for first responders, which seems to be a really good idea. And she has been told by some of her existing customers that they may have to move out due to loss of income from COVID related things. Did I miss anything? I think that's about it.
Good job. Okay, and that leaves Group 4, did we end up keeping group 4 in place, Teresa? I know we had somebody join us.
No, I kind of redistributed them because it was a much smaller group.
Okay, so everyone had their group represented here by the conversation. Are there Joe had asked in the chat whether or not the eviction, Monty, I'm gonna have to disagree with you that the eviction rule in Austin did not just apply to residential. It was across the board. The way they worded their eviction ban, it was on everything, on all evictions. And it's kind of crazy that Travis County and Austin are the only city in the entire state that continue to try to enforce an eviction ban. The Attorney General, I believe it was the Texas Apartment Association, asked the Attorney General for a ruling on evictions. This just happened last week, I think. Last week, the Attorney General issued a ruling that cities and municipalities did not have the right to override the state, because as we know, Governor Abbott had said no more of this eviction, prohibition. But that still remains to be seen. I don't know of anyone who's successfully gone through the eviction process in Travis County. I'm hoping, Monty, you're going to tell me you have. You're muted, but
yes. Yes, apparently maybe the Attorney General's office has changed their ruling, because we checked with them. It's probably been at least a month ago, and they said
just
we could
issued this. It was very, very recent, and they didn't change their ruling. Their ruling was that evictions could be allowed, but it's been a back and forth. So it's as usual, Governor Abbott and Mayor Adler are like this, butting heads. And the Attorney General, same thing. The ruling on the state level is yes, evictions are allowed. You can only imagine in the multifamily business what this is like, not to be able to do evictions since February or March, and that's a typical thing for them every single month. And it's a huge amount of money that's not being paid to those owners of multifamily. Our members have not really raised a lot of red flags over it, because they can still, foreclosures were kind of alluded to as well in the order from Austin. No foreclosures, no evictions. It was mostly geared to homeless people. It was supposed to be a protection for those who are homeless. And that in Austin, like no other city in the state, for sure, I don't know about the country, but in the state, nobody has the protections for the homeless that Austin does. But we still haven't seen a lifting of the ban in Travis County on evictions. And we're waiting for that. I saw the Attorney General's ruling last week, and that it was kind of like, okay, now what's Austin going to do? Are they going to raise the ante? What are they going to do? Is the Attorney General, are they going to file suit? What's going to happen? So as soon as we hear that somebody has successfully gone through the process, we'll let the members in Austin know. But as far as I know, the ban still hasn't been lifted. Has anyone else had a different experience on that note? Foreclosures, there's nobody really controlling that at the city level or at the state level. So you can just do your regular foreclosure and have your auction online probably. No one from the city of Austin is going to come knocking on your door saying you shouldn't have had a foreclosure, because as Monty said, it's really geared to domiciles and residential. But evictions, you have to go to a JP, you have to go to court. So you have to have a JP that's going to allow you to take that action. And I'm not aware of anyone who has successfully evicted since the pandemic in Austin or Travis County. I'm hoping that's going to change anytime now. Has that become an issue for you, Monty, or anyone else in Austin?
No, we just wanted to be out in front of it, and so we checked with the Attorney General's office on that. But like I said, that's been a month or so ago. But no, we've not had to do an eviction anywhere in the state since all of this started.
Raheem, have y'all had to do any? You're muted, but I was just wondering because you have so many properties.
We started our foreclosures this month, but no evictions.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, it's not usually something that members are beating down the door over like they would be in a multifamily situation, because eviction doesn't really get you anything. You have to spend money on it, and it's a rare occasion versus a foreclosure. So you're back to foreclosures. Let's see, who else is on the call that might have done? Jeannie, have y'all returned to any kind of foreclosure situation? You're muted.
Mm.
And I got you.
Okay, we have still been following our same foreclosure procedure by just watching who we are foreclosing on. If it's people that we do normally every 6 months and it's our regular foreclosures, we just have gone ahead with those. But we have initiated more payment plans for people. So we really haven't had a problem with that.
Okay. So what else is on anyone's mind? This is your last shot at just throwing something out for the group, asking a question, sharing a tidbit. Did anybody get into any kind of cool things that you've done as part of the pandemic? I know that Bill Bellamy mentioned that he had seen at a facility recently that they had a container of Q-tips next to the elevator so that the tenants could pick up the Q-tip and use that to push the button on the elevators. Has anybody else seen anything, done anything, bought anything, had any good luck with anything?
I have installed hand sanitizer stations at all of my doors just to make people feel safe. And so that we're not out there cleaning every day. I mean,
Yeah.
we clean every day, but not every few times someone comes in the door.
Not in between every single
And
person.
people have appreciated that.
That's great. Yeah. Have y'all heard the new thing that's the NERMAL, NERMAL? It's the new normal. Since our old normal is no longer the normal. Now we have NERMAL. So, you know, we're in our new normal state, Any other comments, questions? So glad y'all were able to join us today. We hope to be back in the fall. You know, somebody coming in the waiting room just in time for us to wrap things up. I think she dropped off just a second ago. It was Karen Rogers. Her husband was speaking on camera a minute ago, so we'll make sure that they didn't have any parting questions or comments. Karen, if you're back and you had any other last thoughts or questions or comments, now's your chance. You're still muted, but anything else, anyone?
No, we're good. Thank you.
Y'all are
Sorry.
awesome. Thanks for being here today. Thank you so much to ITW Sealants for sponsoring, for Joe Lancelotta for working with us to transition to this virtual event.